Got about 2 minutes and we'll get started. Good morning. All right, it is that time of the morning. One second, let me reset up alarm for tomorrow. There we go. All right, so happy Monday. Happy February 1st, too. All right, what's growing on? Let's see what's growing on today. There is holidays are in services. March the 26th is an in-service, spring break, March 29th through the 2nd, so on and so forth. Scholarships, LADAMs for the ladies, if you want to apply, that is I don't know how much, but usually we at least get a couple of students usually get a scholarship. I depending on how many people, but I know that at least a couple of people got $500 scholarships last year. If you it's free money, so just fill it out and apply. This right here, this is the link, our form. I'm going to put this in. I'm going to put this link in our chat today, and I'd like for everybody to fill that out at least at some point today, just to make sure that they've got all your information. Just make sure you put your first and last name on there. COVID local resources for rent, mental health, food assistance, COVID testing, flu shots, and utility assistance. Mental health, again, please do not ever, if someone needs help, man, talk to them, send them to somebody, send them to this website, whatever else. Just always help out people in need. If you've had a loss during this time, this is a good website. Could help you out. Find someone to talk to. That's all I have to say about that. If you have any questions on financial aid, any sort of money issues, hold on, sorry, my heater is like burning me out so much. Heater. All right, let's see, financial aid, any questions like that, you can talk to Mary Reardon. She's the woman in charge. Zoom desk. If you have any email issues, there you go. 6 feet apart, wash, wash, wash. I think a half a cup of bleach is a lot. What do y'all think? I think a half a cup of bleach to 1 gallon of water. It seems like a lot, but we'll see. All right, talk to these folks if you need help with your with the job, they can help you out. Featured employers, there we go. Seguin, Brunswick. All right. I've never heard of this, but all right. Let's see, Horseshoe Bay. There we go. UT, man, those people, they always need help. Quote of the week. Live it, love it, breathe it. Well, that's a good quote. All right. You're cool people. Funny. All right. Which fast food restaurant was founded first? A&W, McDonald's, Whataburger, In-N-Out Burger, Dairy Queen, or White Castle? Hold on, let me open up the chat line and see what people have put. We got 5, so it's Dairy Queen, we have A&W, and White Castle.
I'm going to go with White Castle, Chef.
Okay, I got 2 for White Castle, 1 for In-N-Out, and 1 for A&W. God, I really don't know. I'm gonna go A&W. Let's see. Hey, A&W. 1816 or 1990. Wow. Interesting. So White Castle, 1921. Dairy Queen, 1940. In-N-Out, 1948. Whataburger. Wow. I did not realize that. Interesting. Wow. All right. Let's see. Oops. All right. All right, day 19. Wow, we're just moving on these days. All right. Pricing and menu pricing. So we are gonna watch a little quick video on this. If I can stop yawning.
Wonder.
This is our home.
Howdy, neighbors. Hey, buddy.
This is gonna be.
Hey everybody, Ryan Gromfin here, author, speaker, chef, restaurateur, and the founder of therestaurantboss.com as well as restaurantcoachingclub.com. Today we're going to talk about something very, very important to your restaurant, food cost, and something I get a lot of questions about, which is why do we need to know the food cost in our restaurant and how do we determine it? So we're going to show you not only why you need to know food cost, but we're going to also go over all of the food cost formulas and calculations that you need to know in your restaurant for the rest of your life. Basically, food cost determines your profitability. Without knowing how much the items on your menu cost and what your food cost is at the end of your different periods, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to track and run a highly profitable restaurant and know where you need to make adjustments and changes. It kind of creates the baseline for us. Also, I mean, ultimately, really, a lower food cost means higher profit. So it's something you should definitely be tracking on a very consistent basis. It allows you to properly price out your menu items. You know, I always say no one would go into a tire store and buy, or I'm sorry, no one would sell you tires from a tire store unless they knew exactly how much every tire on their shelves costs. When you go into a tire store and try to negotiate with the salesperson there, what's the first thing they do? They go back to their computer, they look up a few things. What they're looking up is exactly what they paid for those tires. And I can't believe how many restaurant operators and chefs and general managers and owners don't know exactly in real time how much every menu item on their menu costs them to prepare. That information allows us to optimize your menu. You might have heard the term menu engineering. It's amazing the amount of profits that we could increase in a restaurant by doing nothing but moving things around on a menu and maybe putting a box or bold type or having a server verbalize a certain item on a menu. But we don't want to start doing that. Actually, we can't start doing that until we know exactly how much every item on your menu costs. And then also, food cost is not how much you spend on food. That's another myth or a misconception that I get a lot is, well, isn't food cost just how much I spent on food this month? And no, that is not correct. You will get very false and very varying numbers if that's how you're determining your food cost. So let's get right into this. There's really two types of food costs in your restaurant or bar. The first is plate cost, which is extraordinarily simple to understand, and everyone, without any excuses, should know how much every plate, every drink, every glass of wine, every item in their restaurant costs. And I'm going to show you why, because it's so simple. And then period cost, which is a little more complicated, but you still need to know this in your restaurant. So when we're talking about plate cost, very, very simply, how much did it cost to prepare? How much do you sell it for? Gives you food cost. So again, how much did it cost to prepare? Divided by how much do you sell it for gives you the food cost. Let's look at an example here. Let's say that a hamburger costs you $2 to prepare and you sell it for $8. So 2 divided by $8 gives you 0.25. Well, very simply, all we have to do is do 0.25 times 100, which gives us 25%, which in this case would give us a food cost, or you might want to call it a plate cost for that particular hamburger. Now, figuring out how much the hamburger costs, because there's so many different components in there, that's a little more complicated, and we're going to talk about that in a different video. But for the purpose of this video, all you need to know is that the cost to prepare divided by the sales price times 100 gives you the food cost or the plate cost. But if you want to determine your period food cost, you need to understand something called the cost of goods sold formula. That's the COGS, cost of goods sold. So here's the calculation for your cost of goods sold formula. Beginning inventory plus purchases minus ending inventory gives you usage. That's how much food you used, or beer or wine or whatever you're figuring out, but that's how much you used in that period. And then, like before, now we take the usage divided by sales, which gives us a cost of goods sold, and then we take that and multiply it by 100, which gives us our percentage. So cost of goods sold formula can be used to determine the period cost for any category in your restaurant. Like I said, you could use this for, well, here's some examples right here. You can use it to determine your food cost, your beer costs. We're going to talk about that in a second. Your wine cost, your liquor cost, as well as your merchandise cost. Now, if you notice, I separated out beer bottled and draft, as well as wine bottled and by the glass. That's how I prefer to track. I like to track as very specific data as possible, broken down into as small categories as possible, so then we can really determine if there's a problem, what's going on, or where we need to adjust prices, or where we're having success, or where we need to work a little bit. So these are the categories I recommend that you should be keeping track of in your restaurant. And this is how I recommend that we break them down. Now here's two things you really need to make sure of when we're using the cost of goods sold formula. Make sure you're comparing the correct category purchases and inventory to the correct category sales. So if we're trying to figure out beer cost, we need to make sure that we're using beer purchases, beer inventory, and then beer sales.
Grammarly does more than catch errors. With Grammarly, you can find really good,
not total sales. And then also, you need to make sure that you're comparing the correct inventory and purchases period to the correct sales period. Meaning, if we're, well here, let's look at this example. If we wanted to get a period food cost for March, here's exactly what we need to know. So again, we're talking about March here. So we need to know the March beginning inventory, and then we're going to add that to March purchases, and then we're going to subtract that from the March ending inventory, which will give us March's food usage. Now, people ask me a lot of times, how do we determine beginning inventory? Well, that's very simple. Beginning inventory is the ending inventory of the period before. So for March's beginning inventory, that's just February's ending inventory. So let's look at an example here. If beginning inventory was $5,000 in March and we purchased $24,000 in food, and then we took an ending inventory and we had $4,000 on our shelves, that means we used $25,000 in food. So now going back to that cost of goods sold calculation, we take our $25,000, which was usage, divided by March's food sales, not total sales, but March's food sales, because remember, food usage divided by food sales gives us 0.25. 0.25 times 100 gives us our 25% food cost. You can see I've got the formula down here at the bottom again for you. Let's just do a quick review. I just want to put this up on the screen for you. You can pause the video if you want to write this down again, but we're going to move on here. And I want to go over the number one question I get asked all the time, almost every day, is what should my food cost be? Well, that's very difficult to answer. And to be completely frank with you, anyone that tells you that your food cost should be between this and this, or this is an industry average, or anything like that, frankly, doesn't have enough information and doesn't really know what they're talking about, because nobody can tell you that you should have this food cost based on your type of restaurant. There's too many other factors that we need to know. And if you're interested in learning more about what those other factors are, and then ultimately a formula on how to determine what your food cost should be based on this other information, please visit my website. That's therestaurantboss.com. When you get to the home page, there's this huge green button that says Get It Now. When you click on that, you're going to be able to download completely for free.
All right. So, like he was saying, what we're going to be doing is more just a very basic, doing the plate cost, not the ending inventory and all of that sort of stuff. We're just doing the plate cost, and we are going to do an average food cost, okay? Because we really don't know how much it is, and this is just more for practice. But we're going to be using like just a certain amount, like I think 25% or something like that, or 35%. But we're going to be using what they call an industry average, just out of sheer ease for us for this project. But that's kind of what we're going to be doing. Do you mind reading this?
Running a restaurant means cooking on a much larger scale than a home cook would, making hundreds of dishes a day. In order to keep it running smoothly, you need to have standard procedures for making every dish, and you need to have all the ingredients and equipment involved in making your dishes in bulk. You also must decide how much to charge for each item on the menu, which you can figure out by determining how much it costs to make.
Thank you. Right. So we're just going to be kind of talking about how to determine the cost, pretty much. Running a small restaurant can be a labor of love for sure. In general, all running a restaurant in general is a labor of love, because most of the restaurants, you don't get rich quick doing it. It's a slow process of building it up, and then you get more profit. But setting it up, making sure that your business is set up so where you're going to be profitable. And if you don't cost out those recipes and you don't know how much you're spending, it could be a big deal. You need to set up a business plan when you're kind of getting started. You need to, in most of the places, in most what I would call investors, if you're going to get any investor, you're going to need some sort of business plan, and I'm kind of a mission concept, or just a plan for you to be successful. How to run a restaurant. Do you mind reading how to run a restaurant?
Mm-hmm. Identify several keys to success, such as maintaining high quality food, a good customer service, and a competitive and attractive price. It is one of the three pillars of a success management to inspire customer loyalty and generate profit.
Thank you. You know, high quality food. Everybody wants good food. Everybody wants good service, and everybody wants a comparable or a what I would consider or what I would say is a fair price. Okay, and when I talk about a fair price, um, you want to make sure your product, the value of it is about the same amount of the price. And that is, I think, the most important thing is making sure you're setting that price as a fair price, right? People want to feel like they got a value for it. If they feel like that was a very unrealistic price, or whatever else, and or if it's too cheap, then they're going to think, oh, well, this product might not be the best product or whatever else. So you really need to make sure you watch out on the pricing. Stay ahead of your game, research for sure. Make sure just research everything when it comes to running a restaurant. Your decor, your menu, your hours, your pricing, all of that sort of stuff. You need to develop plans. You need to develop procedures in place for that. You need to develop a market plan with strategies when it comes to how to advertise yourself, right? Newspaper ads, brochures, emails, postcards, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, any of those social media networks, or anything like that. You need to make sure your face is out there, make sure your name is out there, make sure hell, a lot of times, donating food, that gets free publicity for yourself and all of that. So anything how to just stand out and create a buzz and anything like that is always helpful. Train your staff for sure. Do you mind reading this slide?
Train staff and evaluate their performance periodically to address any problems as they arise. Monitor the performance of the chef from sourcing, buying products for ingredients, to food preparation and presentation.
Thank you. And if you are hopefully some of you will be the chefs, some of you will be the owners and all of that. Even if you're the owner, you still need to you need to monitor the chef, right? If you're the owner of the restaurant and you're not running the day-to-day business as a chef, you need to really monitor them and make sure that everything is going properly. That they're buying the proper stuff, all of that. You just need to oversee the operation no matter what. 70%. Okay, so this is kind of the same kind of stuff. It's 75% of restaurants fail in the first year. So it is so important to make sure you watch everything. Make sure you're not wasting product. Make sure my employees are not wasting my time. Basically, it's all about money. I mean, the reason why they fail is it has to do with money in some way, either not money coming in, not enough money coming in, too much money going out, too much money going in the garbage, too much money going to employees, too much money going into whatever. It's all about the money. So making sure you manage that and watch that, because that 75% of restaurants fail in the first year, and that is a lot of restaurants. So you need to make sure you have those position or those training, the training, the information, all the stuff that they need to be successful. And lack of planning is the reason why, the biggest reason why a failure. Lack of planning when it comes to money, when it comes to you name it, just any sort of stuff. Just planning, making sure that the pricing is correct, make sure the staffing is correct, make sure you have the right equipment, make sure you are marketing to the right individuals, making sure that your target market, whoever your target market of people are, you're marketing to them. If there was a breakdown on training and the training wasn't very good, maybe all sorts of things. So just lack of planning, lack of understanding, all of those things create issues. The heart of the restaurant is the menu, right? I mean, that's everything, right? So I mean, that's what people are coming in to buy or to look at. They're looking at that to decide if they want to eat at your restaurant. So making sure that that item or that menu is visibly attractive, that it's not an ugly menu, it's not too busy, it's not misspelled, it's not all that they feel like they get a value, they can read it, all of those things. Those are kind of the things you need to make sure you develop the right menu, and it's got a good spread of different types of food for all the different types of tastes that you have, but not too much, but not too little either. So you need to make sure you have a good mix for everybody in your clientele, whoever your clientele you're going for, right? So that is important. When developing a menu, questions to ask might include, let's see, total, utilizing ingredients in multiple areas of the menu. Like I was saying, like the grilled chicken breast, right? You got a grilled chicken breast, you have that on the grill. Well, I could sell that grilled chicken on a Caesar salad, on a pasta dish. Like I could have, if we just have an Alfredo or whatever else, and Alfredo noodles or whatever else, and then I could write, for $3 more, you can get a grilled chicken or grilled shrimp or whatever. So you can sell it in multiple areas. So where you're not just having one item, or one dish, or one use for that dish. Let's see. And what is your food cost? That is kind of the most important thing, and that we keep beating that dead horse, food cost, and we are now about to get into the food cost and calculating that. Do you mind reading this slide for me?
Simple food costing tools is like a heart monitor for your business. By monitoring your costs, which is basically when you got high blood pressure, you need a heart monitor to monitor There are many benefits to food costing, including creates an awareness that food costs will be analyzed closely and culture amongst the staff that cost controls are important. The people are paying, that means you should pay attention on your prices. It puts the restaurateur in control.
Thank you. It would sound better if when you have high blood pressure, not when you got. Oh, you only. All right. Hold on, I was going to change it. But... All right. So just making sure, these are some benefits. Now, the three important aspects of a food cost: price, recipe mix, and tracking. So that's what we're going to go on. Do you mind reading this slide for me? If you're cool with that.
Of course.
Thank you.
The menu item pricing, of course, is the owner's responsibility to go out in the marketplace and determine the competitor's pricing, what the market can bear, and to adjust those prices accordingly to remain competitive. The recipe mix involves the ingredient cost, what the food company charges you. So depending on the ingredient cost and the portion you use, that drives the cost of the recipe mix for the menu item. Ongoing tracking provides a daily pulse of the business based on date range, who will give you the food costing based on actual sales.
Thank you. All right, and the menu mix is a menu that has basically a balance, right? Balance of you just need a good balance, and you need to make sure you evaluate all of the cost based on what you're buying, right? And so could you read where it says, starting where it says menu mix also?
Menu mix also refers to how the menu items are distributed in the kitchen during service. Menu mix evaluates the flow of menu items. For instance, if you have menu items which come from the grill station, saute station, and fry station, then ideally 1/3 of the most popular items will come from each station during service.
Thank you. And that the menu mix is also making sure you're not overcrowding or overworking one station. So you always need to make sure, and that's why it's important to not have so many fried items. You need a kind of a good mixture of things, because you don't want to overload one station, and then that could cause problems as well. So let's see. Food cost is based upon total items sold for a given period of time. So that's kind of it. Let's see. I'm trying to give you the information you need, not as much of all this stuff. Okay, so making sure you avoid any waste and avoid any mistakes. Mistakes cost me money no matter what. That's the issue. In a restaurant, mistakes cost money. It doesn't cost your employee money, but it sure as hell, our employees money, but it sure as hell costs me money, because a mistake, if someone cooks something wrong, well, I've spent money on their on the food, I've spent money on their time, so I've wasted so much time. So you need to make sure you manage that. You know what, is this the same? Was this the one we did on Friday?
I think so. A lot of it
Gallon
familiar.
Man and all of that.
Yeah, a lot of this is familiar.
All right, hold on. All right, so I just clicked on the wrong one. So all right, I'm gonna breeze through this. I accidentally clicked on, I never closed that one out from last week. So I'm gonna, all right, so here you go, menu mix. So recipe costs, let's see. Recipe cost of ingredients in a plate. Recipe sale price is the price of customers pay for a plate. Additional food costs, cost of ingredients used for all plates, individual food costs per serving, recipe cost divided by recipe sales price, or not divided by our recipe cost and recipe sales price. Actual food cost is ideal food cost. Basically, that's just the ideal food cost. And then ideal food cost per serving, that's the actual food cost per serving. And let's see, designing a menu, an effective menu, restaurant menu mix. And we were just talking about the menu mix. I think that's very important, is making sure you have a good range of different types of foods from different portions of the station. You want to avoid crowding, right? You don't want too much crowding of your product. You need a good theme, a good restaurant, something that will bring people in. You also, when you're dealing with doing a menu, you need to, I would say, first draft of the menu is gonna for sure not gonna be perfect, but you wanna kind of process it so where it's starting to look nice. And that's just, I mean, the first one, you're just gonna put it around and then you kind of work into it and make it look a lot nicer, and by making sure that you have the proper equipment you need to do this menu or whatever else. So those things, a basic menu, and we've talked about what a basic menu should have. It should have the item, it should have a description of the item, it should have a nice and also the price on there. And the price should be comparable. I think the price should be something that people feel like they are getting a value, or that they don't feel cheated out of their money or whatever else. They want to have value for it, and make sure that it's not overly priced. If it is, if it's a very expensive burger, you need to make sure you have something so where they feel like they're getting a value for that burger, right? So you need to make sure people, feel like they get that value. Can you read the menu layout for me?
A restaurant menu layout reflects the restaurant itself. Restaurant menu designs, whether formal, casual, or playful, should match your restaurant concept, location, and theme. Your menu, font, and color scheme should also reflect your menu's theme, a restaurant's theme.
Thank you. So just making sure, and we've already talked about like menus, and we've already gone through a bunch of menus. And in this, here's an example of a menu. Not so crazy about it, just because of all the prices are, in a line. I would never try to line up any of the prices. I would just put it at the end of the description, with, just making sure that, if this is, making sure that the color of the menu, everything flows with whatever design you're going for. Let's see, here, different menu right here. Again, you want to bold it, you want to underline it, you want to get some color, you want to get, put some, something around it, dotted lines, whatever, but doing something to make sure that menus, these items stand out. I mean, when I just turned to this slide right here, my eye went straight to this fried chicken right here. Why? Because it had a box. And then right after that, my eye went to this little thing right here, just to see what that was, because it was kind of written kind of on the side. So that those are things that will make your eyes go to it. Okay. And using that that eye chart of how we look at things, and here's that kind of that one spot right here, and that's what and they use that these boxes to even draw your eyes even more to that item. So so any of those little things, I think that's so important to bring your eyes to it. And we've already talked about customers typically spend 90 seconds looking over the menu. I think it's 90 seconds are 109 seconds, I think, as well. So, just making sure that everything is easy to look at, because everybody's in a hurry. Everybody, you're in a hurry looking at all of this stuff. So you need to make sure that, that it's easy for the customers to look at, and it's just flows. Let's see. Okay, so menu description, you want to make sure that the menu description basically sounds amazing, or makes people want it, because again, that's the only thing that they're going to be able to see or read to describe them what this dish is going to be. So make sure it sounds appetizing. Make sure it, let's see. All right, just making sure that you describe it, and if you're going to, if it's a quarter pound, make sure you put the weight or how many items or whatever else. Here are some good descriptive words, and we've already kind of went over these. Acidic, bitter, bittersweet, briny, citrusy, cooling, earthy, fresh, fruity, herby, herbal, nutty, rich, sharp, smoky, sour, spicy, sweet, tangy, yeasty, woody, zesty, airy, buttery, chewy, creamy, crispy, crumbly, crunchy, crusty, doughy, fuzzy. Did I miss one? Delicious or delicate? Flaky, fluffy, gooey, juicy, silky, hearty, baked, blanched, blackened, braised, breaded, broiled, caramelized, fermented, fried, glazed, infused, marinated, poached, roasted, sauteed, seared, smoked, whipped, crisp, dry versus crispy, greasy versus velvety, sugary versus honeyed, burned versus blackened, tough versus hearty, like a hearty bread. And instead of saying tough bread, you can just say it's hearty bread, right? Or mushy versus tender. On that note, let's take a 10-minute break. Be back in 10 minutes.
Heard.
All righty. So, when you are creating a menu, also, if you want to be using any local produce or local stuff, making sure that, you write that down. I think that's so important. Locally grown produce, locally raised chicken, whatever else. That always helps. I think for selling product or selling stuff, people want something local or again, it depends on who your clientele is as well. So you need to know who your clientele is and what your clientele wants. That determines what it is. And I would for sure identify, hey, this is locally raised beef or whatever else, just so because it might cost more, so you need to make sure you identify it so people understand why it costs more, why any of those things. So very important. Making sure that you design a menu that works with your equipment. And I think I've said this before to you. I think it's very important to get that done or to know that, because if you don't, if you I don't know, let's say have something that's grilled and you don't have a grill, then I mean, you need to make sure what kind of equipment you need to cook the products and all of that. A restaurant should have about should be between 25 and 35% of total space in the restaurant. So the kitchen is kind of small. You want a smaller kitchen because you don't want to have your employees walking long distance or traveling, taking food from one if it's a very long kitchen or a very big kitchen. Again, time, temperature abuse, all of that sort of stuff, and making sure maybe your stations where you're just making sure that you manage your time, temperature abuse, because of if the cooler's way over to the very far end and all your workstations are on the opposite end of it, well, that's stupid. You need to move it over. But just making sure that it's a good plan, making sure you have good pricing, creating the price price points for your menu. And that's why when we talk about what's the average check price for per person, we're looking at, okay, and if an average check price per person is $30, let's say it's a $30 check price per person, that's a pretty pricey dinner or pricey thing. So with that being said, there are people, and me is one of those people, that I couldn't afford a $30 check price every day, right? Or whatever else. So I need, you need to be able to have maybe on the average of a check price, so you need to manage who your clientele is. And again, we beat that dead horse quite often, and I've said it a lot, of making sure who your clientele is so important, because if not, you don't know how much the people that you're serving can afford, right? You need to know who it is and what they have. Reducing costs. Do you mind reading about reducing costs for me?
Mm-hmm. Reducing cost. A menu is not just a list of dishes. Everything on the menu must be made, and that requires people, food, and equipment. Your restaurant will only have so much of each, so you should be as efficient as possible with the resources you have available. This means making sure your menu has cross-utilization, using the same things for multiple menu items.
Okay, and we've already kind of talked about that. Reducing cost also, let's see, you don't cut, buying pre-prepared foods. Let's say, if you want to, are I don't know, already cut onions or already cut, whatever to help. I mean, granted, it costs more, right? It's going to cost more to buy pre-cut onions or whatever. I don't know. I'm just using onions as an example, but pre-made stuff. It's going to cost a little bit more, but you might not have to pay on the labor side. So it's a give and take. You have to decide what's more important. But making sure you try to figure out how to cut cost. And again, it's all about those pennies. It's all about trying to squeeze as much money out of a penny as possible. Let's see, and making sure that your labor is working properly and all of that. All the systems are in place, and if they're not, then you need to deal with that. But spending money is painful versus making it pleasurable. Okay. Now, you need to make sure your customers don't feel like when they open up their wallet or open up, get their, credit card or the cash out, you don't want them to feel like, oh, it's painful, it hurts. What you need to do is you need to make sure that they feel like they've gotten a value for their money, right? You want to make sure that the customers feel like they've gotten that, they're satisfied with what they got. And that is just making sure that everything is all those things, the ambiance, the seating, the chairs, the wait staff, the kitchen staff, all of those things, if they're doing all their jobs correctly, right, it will not be painful for them to drop their money or to spend their money. They're going to be like, okay, what a great evening, or what a great afternoon, or what a great meal. And when you have that, people don't worry about, thinking, oh, damn, it was so expensive or whatever else. They're just saying, what a nice meal, what a nice experience, all of that. So if you give them a good experience, they're not going to feel like they got cheated out of their money or that it was painful for them or whatever else. And in making sure, and we kind of talked about it, and we're not going to, I'll briefly go over this because we've already talked about it, but you have stars, plow horses, puzzles, dogs, all of these things. These are items that, like your star item is high demand, low cost. So it's basically that's your money maker, right? It's a very high demand product, right? And then it's very low cost for you. So it's going to just, or it's a very low cost, but it's just a star. It just keeps producing and producing. You got plow horses is high demand and high cost. Those are things that just, it's gonna just go. And then the puzzle, it's low demand, low cost. And then you got dogs, low demand, high cost. So you want to try to prevent a lot of you don't want a lot of dogs, right? Because it's very low demand and it costs a lot to make, right? So those dogs you don't want, you want to try to, I mean, there's always going to be a dog on your menu or whatever else, but you want to prevent it as much as possible because with it low demand, right, you're not going to sell that many of them, and the cost is high for you to produce. So So let's say if it's something that goes bad very fast as well, so that means you could potentially be throwing away a lot of product because it's in low demand. In here's, like try to analyze your items. You have, contribution how much it's going to cost, how many numbers have sold, and you can kind of look at this and you can kind of say, okay, that the pork chop is a plow horse, the ribeye is a star, the tenderloin is a star, the monkfish is a puzzle, the cod and the fettuccine is like a dog because it costs a lot of money, but you're not selling that many. So you've just got to make sure you manage these, and you kind of analyze these a little bit when you are working on your items. And again, plow horses, you need those plow horses, you need those stars, and you've got the puzzles. The puzzles are going to be there, like, why is it good one day and it's bad the next day? You don't know, and it could be just weather, it could be many different things. So you just have to kind of analyze it and try to figure it out. But do you mind reading what plow horses?
Plow horses are menu items with high popularity and low profitability. They are good to have on your menu since they're comfortable options for your customers to fall back on, but you should think about ways to make them more profitable.
Thank you. So in puzzles, and we don't really need to get into it. It's low puzzles are menu items with low popularity and high profitability. So they're low popularity but very high profitability. And the issue is you're just trying to figure out what you need to do to make it more of a success, making it more of a plow horse or more of a star. Trying to figure that out. And dogs, we've kind of talked about, those are things that, you just very low demand, a low margin, but sometimes there are some items that are just like, gonna be there. So you'll find a few dogs on your menu occasionally. Remember, food is fashionable, right? Healthy, well, do you mind reading? Go ahead and read this slide for me.
Health, microbiome, active aging, protein plus, nootropics, lifestyle diets, cannabis. Consumers, clockless eating, transparency, invisibly healthy path to purchase, climatarian. Travel, digital detox, climate neutral, dark travel, cross-generational self-care. Beverage, infused ice, zero proof, seasonal, plant milk, fermented, sour beer, florals, functional, tea/coffee, infused, and regional global.
Thank you. I mean, look, okay, these are things that are kind of fashionable now, right? I mean, just think about all the CBD things that are infused, or cannabis infused. You've got, everybody's, always heart healthy or very healthy, trying to, promote health, detox, all of these things, self-care. I mean, that is a big thing right now, and especially once COVID and everybody gets kind of vaccines after that, travel is going to be, because everybody hasn't been traveling, right? So everybody's been just kind of sticking at home. So travel is going to be a big thing, and making, and that could be part of, the trends or what all these things that are going to be happening. You can bring these kinds of things into your establishment, right? CBD oil or cannabis, if you're not in Texas, or just healthy eating, or just think of all the new drinks now. I mean, all the what's the hard seltzers that are out there, like the alcoholic seltzers, or the um, you know that sort of stuff. I mean, there's so many different things out there. You could try to bring in and create more of a buzz, and bring it in, bring in new customers. Um, let's see. Uh, Other things like also like organic, organic items might bring people in. No GMOs, no, just all natural, or whatever plant-based products, or whatever else. I mean, here, like you've got cauliflower crust, like pizza crust, or you've got um, gluten-free, or any of those sorts of things, to bring. The people are wanting. These are kind of trends that, things that are, you should start thinking about. People are sweet and salty desserts. I mean, everybody loves sweet and salty. It's a good combination. Bring that in. Oops. Those are things that are keeping are kind of in the industry now, and you just gotta, and people are kind of wanting these things, and anything to keep you in the game, right? In the game, you want to make sure that you're going to stay current and stay active, right? You don't want a restaurant that just stuck in its own ways, and not trying things, and not trying to get more business, in all of those things. So just remember that. Now, here are some menu place, or some websites to help you design your menu. But and we'll get into that, but must-have menus is good, and I've already kind of talked about that. But now I'm going to show you, and on our break, and I don't, if you were watching on our break, I started adding some things to the portal. So, this is just the PowerPoint right there, on the portal. But this right here is the costing sheet for your costing out of your recipe. And I don't know if you see it, it says costing sheet, please make a copy for you. Okay, so when you click on here, this is going to pop up. You go to open in Google Sheets, and then you're going to go click on File, make a copy, and I'm going to go Cliff Dickerson's costing sheet. I'm going to click on it, and there we go. And that is, once it calculates, come on, there we go. And there is my costing sheet right there. Okay. Now, you can, what I'm going to get you to do, let's see here.
What day did you say again, Chef?
I'm sorry, what?
What day did you put that on?
Day 20.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. And then on day 20 as well, and if I can find where, hold on. There's the, All right, so on day 20 as well, I underneath the costing sheet, I put master ingredient list. Okay, so you click on the master ingredient list and this pops up. Okay, and this will tell you how much of avocado each per, per product, or this is the pound sign is obviously price per pound. So the poblano peppers, for 1 pound, it's $2.35. Everybody see that? Snow peas for a pound is $4.56. And this just kind of goes down and just has a list of items. Now, if there is something that's not on this list and you need it, you can, and if you cannot find it on this costing sheet, you can easily just Google it and just put a cost, whatever cost you want, whatever the cost that you see. You can Google, I don't know, how much is a radish, and find out how much a radish is. All right, but what you're gonna do is you're gonna type in, okay, beef, right? There's beef, and then you're gonna write weight, eight, and then let's say it's $4.50, and it calculates. So if it's 8 pounds, or let's see, you can go 8 ounces, 8 pounds, or whatever else, and then it's $4.50, and it will calculate it for you right there. It's always going to be, so what I need you to do is go get your recipes, right? You're gonna get your recipes, and you're going to transfer, hold on, let me go. Okay, so here's a standardized recipe. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna basically get these items, right? And you're gonna transfer these items to here, right? You're gonna transfer all these items, put it there, and then you're gonna put the price for the items right here. Okay, everybody follow that? Yes, ma'am.
What if your list is longer than the boxes provided?
So what you're gonna do is you can just click on that, right click, and hold on, let me actually, hold on. What I can do is I will make one longer for you. I will create on this shared one, I will make a longer list for you. Okay, I will do that this afternoon and have that put up there. So I will make it a good 20 items or so. Okay.
Thank you.
And so you're going to put that, and you're going to put the cost, and then all this stuff up here, you're going to put the name of the recipe right up here where it says recipe. And then for the servings, you're going to type in the serving amount. So if it's 5 or 6 servings, there you go. You're going to put what you're not going to put, you're not going to change the the food cost is always going to be 30. We're just going to set it up as 30 as a blanket 30%. But when you put in all the cost, then I will talk about the menu price and everything else after you put in all your ingredients and put in the cost, then I will talk about the menu, the actual menu price. Okay. So what I need for this week is for you to work on this costing sheet. So you need to transfer all your ingredients that you had, for your standardized recipe, right? You created the standardized recipe. So, and what's going to happen is you need to figure out how many, how much does those 5 tablespoons of olive oil cost, right? So you're going to have to figure that out. So you're going to be looking at, how much per ounce and how many ounces or how many tablespoons you can get and all of that sort of stuff. You're going to figure out that cost and you're going to put it in this, or it's going to kind of calculate it for you. So you're going to write in, because no matter what, you're just putting down the amounts and how much it costs. Then it's going to manipulate it. When you say however many servings, you put 6 and it's going to calculate it to 1 item. So it's going to calculate it all. So what I need to do is put in ingredients, the weight amount, all of that, and the price, and then everything else we'll get to. All right. Everybody understand that?
Chef,
Yes,
Yes.
Chef.
when
Go
is
ahead,
this
Chef.
What, could you say it one more time? I apologize.
when is this due by again?
I would like this portion to be done by Friday because next week we're going to work. Next week is our last week, right? And we need to. Well, actually, I would like it. Really, actually, by middle of this week would probably be the best because you've got to create a menu after that. We've got to build a menu. So you got to make a menu itself. So the making of the menu doesn't really take that long, but I would like maybe midweek or it shouldn't take that long to do it because it's only 9 to 10 recipes or so. Let's say, how about by Thursday? By Thursday, I would like it done. And also, if you see, do you see how it says recipe 1, recipe 2, recipe 3? And do you see where it says order guide? There is also a little bit of an order guide right here as well that has a lot of the ingredients that you might need right here as well. So I have 2 order guides, the one that I showed you, plus this other order guide that's at the end. All your recipes can go right here. Okay, you can just have all your recipes. If you need more recipe things, you can right click and you can hit duplicate. Okay, everybody understand that? Everybody good? So Thursday, I would like it done. But if you need me to look at them, I'm gonna make these a little bit longer. So if you can wait about an hour or 2 before you download or before you get onto the portal and download this or make a copy, I'm gonna be working on fixing this one. So, but other than that, any questions? All right. Y'all have a wonderful day. Be safe. And I will see y'all tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, Chef. Take care.
Bye, guys. You too.
Have a nice day.
Thank you, Chef.
Bye.
Chef, before I head
Yeah, what's
out, this is Mike. Did you receive my
I did.
standardized recipes?
I did. Thank you.
And also the email I sent regarding the viewing of the
Yes.
three conferences I missed?
Yes, I knew you were going to do it, so I didn't count you absent or do anything about your grade. Like I knew because you had talked to me earlier, so I never counted you absent during that last week.
Heard, Chef.
So where I didn't have to mess with it later on. So you're squared up. You're good.
Okay, got it, Chef. So I'll just wait a couple hours for this costing sheet to be
Yeah,
updated,
yeah,
and then
just-
I'll go ahead and download it.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Have a
Okay,
great
thank you,
day.
Chef.
Hey,
Thank
be
you too,
safe.
Chef.
Bye bye.
Yep.